So UFC 316 is taking place this weekend, and Tony has died. We'll be breaking down the card from top to bottom. Overall, this card is pretty alright.
It's alright, like, overrated as fuck in my opinion. I mean,
Merab versus O'Malley, that's not really a fight that everybody wanted, but it's happening. Pena versus Harrison. I really think that Raquel Pennington beat Juliana Pena, so I really wish it was actually Pennington versus Harrison. Gastelum versus Pfeiffer. That was on that Mexico card. I got moved to here. Some pretty good fights on this card. Some pretty interesting names. Starting with the first fight on the card, which is Chaos Williams versus Andreas Gustoson. I'm going to go with Andreas Gustoson, first round knockout. Look, he's Bryce Mitchell's favorite fighter. If you've ever seen his old tattoos, you'll know what I'm talking about. Gustoson, he's going to knock out Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams, he's been in the UFC for a long time, shown that he's not really cut out to be a top-level welterweight fighter, you know what I mean? Andreas Gustafsson's making his UFC debut. He's coming off of a pretty sick knockout win on Dana White's Contender Series, and I don't see why he won't get another knockout. Chaos Williams leaves himself to be hit quite a bit. He's been knocked out in the past. He had a very close fight with Randy Brown, but besides that, he hasn't shown me anything too impressive. I think Andreas Gustafsson is going to get this fight done in his debut. He's a big Kanye West fan, if you know what I mean. Next fight on the card, we got Markel Madias versus Mark Chwaninsky. Interesting last name you got there, buddy. I think I'm starting to notice. I think I'm going to pick Markel Madias to win this fight by decision. As you can see on Tapology, it's 88% people are picking Madias to win this fight. I think he has shown, this third UFC fight, he's shown that he's UFC level. Pretty sure that this guy, I don't know if this is on short notice or whatever, but he's making his debut. The people that he's beating on the regional scene aren't too impressive. 3 fights ago, he beat someone that was 2-8. His last fight, he fought someone that's 8-7. Markel Madias, he's undefeated in the UFC, first of all. I think Markel Madias is going to get this one done by decision. I think he's just too, he's more experienced in the UFC, and I think Mark Chwaninsky is not as experienced as him. So let's move on to the next one. My boy Killian Salakid. Look, in his first fight, he decided he wanted to fight Anshul Jubilee, the Indian, and now he's fighting a guy from Israel, bro. He's going to save the Apex. He's going to be drinking White Monster. He's going to be drinking Fanta, you know what I mean? Killian Salakid, interesting guy for sure. Best mustache in the UFC. There's no reason that he's not a big favorite right now. The reason he's a favorite is because he's going to knock this guy out. He lost to Chris Duncan. Beats Trevor Peek. Who doesn't beat Trevor Peek, this guy is going to beat... Killian Salakid is going to knock out Yanal Ashmouz. Because Yanal Ashmouz is mid as fuck. Killian Salakid, there's a reason that the UFC is putting him against Jubilee. They saw how viral that video... There's a video on Instagram that has over 200,000 likes. And it's just Killian Salakid knocking out Anshul Jubilee. And Anshul Jubilee saying, "Do not redeem." Alright? They know what they're doing, giving him an Israeli next. They want him to knock him out again. Another country that people don't like. So I think the UFC knows what they're doing with this matchmaking. I think Killian Salakid has a pretty bright future ahead of him as well. So I'm picking Killian Salakid to win this fight by first round knockout. Next fight on this card, we got Azamat Mzakonov versus Brendanson Ribeiro. I'm going to pick Azamat Mzakonov to win this fight by knockout. Azamat Mzakonov is going to win. I don't really understand why they're making this fight. Azamat is a ranked fighter. Brendanson Ribeiro, he's on a 2-fight win streak, but one of them was a split decision to a bum, and the other one was a submitting Dyer Nuzagai or whatever. I don't think that Brendanson Ribeiro should be getting a ranked fight because of this. I think they're just serving up a pretty easy win for Azamat Mzakonov, who did beat Dustin Jacoby, which is highly impressive. We've seen what Dustin Jacoby's been doing. Former Glory kickboxer, has a lot of experience. That's a really good win. And then he just slept Alonzo Minifield. Alonzo Minifield, he's not as good as we think he is, but he's still a pretty decent win. Better than any wins that Brendanson Ribeiro has. Brendanson Ribeiro just doesn't belong in there with the undefeated Russian Azamat Mzakonov. Mzakonov's going to knock him out. Let's talk about the next fight on this card, which is Ju Sang Yu versus Jek Sergey. Bro, you got to pick the South Korean Ju Sang Yu, and here's why. This guy, Jek Sergey, is Anshul Jubilee's only win in the UFC. If you're getting knocked out by Anshul Jubilee, you're getting knocked out by undefeated Korean phenom Ju Sang-yu, all right? This guy is just not a UFC level fighter. Yeah, man, Ju Sang-yu is pretty good. He has a bunch of knockouts, all right? He's going to finish Jek Jek. It's going to be a highlight reel, too. People are going to be like, who is this Ju Sang-yu guy, you know? Ju Sang-yu. All right, you know what? Let's move on. The next fight on this card, Sergey Spivak. He's a great fighter. I love to fight him. He's fighting Waldo Cortez Aosta. I'm going to pick Waldo Cortez Aosta to get this one done. I think that beating Ryan Spann is really impressive. I know it was Ryan Spann's debut. He beat someone with lighter man skill. Waldo Cortez Aosta is not just another one of these fat ass heavyweights, out of shape, big body bitches, losers. You know what I mean? Waldo Cortez Aosta actually has some skill to him, bro. He beat Robelis to Spain. He beat Andrei Arlovsky. I know it was old Arlovsky, but he still beat him. Beat Lucas Brzeski. Who does that to Lucas Brzeski, man? He beat Ryan Spann. I think that's a pretty impressive win. Now, you could say that Sergey Spivak, he's a really good gatekeeper for heavyweight. I do think he has a pretty good chance in this fight. I do think that the fight will be over in the first round no matter what. So if you want to take the under on that, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sergey Spivak's the Czech, bro. Like, he beats Augusta Sakai. He beats Derek Lewis. Old ass Derek Lewis, but he loses to Cyril Gane because Cyril Gane has skill. He beats Marcin Tybura because Marcin Tybura sucks, but he loses to Jelton Almeida because Jelton Almeida is good. So the question really with this fight is, do you think that Salsa Boy is good enough to beat Sergey Spivak? Is he an elite heavyweight? You know, he's a lot bigger than him as well, 30 pounds on him, and it's not just fat. He has muscle as well, so I don't know if Sergey Spivak will be able to get his takedowns on Waldo Cortez Aosta. I'm going to pick Waldo Cortez Aosta to knock out Sergey Spivak. Sergey Spivak. It's a great fighter. All right, next fight on this card, Ariana Lipsky versus Wang Kong Wang, whatever you want to call her. I'm a big Wang Kong fan, if you don't know. She really is good, bro. She lost to Gabriela Fernandez. She was whooping Gabriela Fernandez's fight. She just got too cocky. And hopefully that's a lesson learned to Wang Kong, because she's such a better striker than almost all of the people in her division. Like, you can just watch her striking and tell that she has high level striking for WMMA. Valentina Shevchenko in a kickboxing match when they were young. You know, people say she's the next Pereira. She's the Chinese female Joker Pereira. You know what I mean? Ariana Lipsky, she's on a 2-fight losing streak. Jasmine Jasavicius, that's not a bad person to lose to, but losing to Corinne Silva, that's not too hot of a look. Wang Kong even has the experience just because of her high-level kickboxing career that she had. Yeah, I'm picking Wang Kong to knock out Ariana Lipsky just because Ariana Lipsky looks like a fucking fish on the feet, bro. Like, looks like she's never thrown a punch in her life when she's striking, alright? So, I'm picking Wang Kong to knock out Ariana Lipsky. Could go to a decision if she can't get that power going, but I think she will. The Fernandez fight was a fluke for Fernandez. I think that Wang Kong will go on to do great things in this sport. Next fight on the card, my boy, dude. Joshua Van, man. Joshua Van versus Bruno Silva. I'm telling you guys, the only time Joshua Van's lost was against Charles Jonsson, and it was a short notice fight. Charles Jonsson is really big for 125 as well. Give Joshua Van a full camp, he's going to whoop Charles Jonsson every time. Besides that, this guy's like a mini Max Holloway. That's what I've always said. Crazy volume fighter. He'll lose the first round, and then once he gets his range and his skill, this dude just constantly is throwing. Like, you were always overwhelmed. He's got a boxing style, just walks forward. It's just, has a great cardio. I just think Joshua Van is the future of this division, for real. I just think that there's a reason Joshua Van's a minus 530 favorite, and it's because if you look at Bruno Silva's last fight against Manel Kape, he just got overwhelmed with volume against Kape. What do you think that Joshua Van's going to do? He's even better of a volume striker. Like, Kape has more, he has more slick striking and more power, but he doesn't have as much volume, and Bruno Silva was getting overwhelmed by volume from Kape. So what do you think Van's going to do? He's going to heat up into the fight. Maybe he'll lose the first round closely, but then after the first round, he's gonna fucking put the heat on him, and he's just gonna start landing fucking crazy combinations against the fence, pushing him backwards. Yeah, I'm picking Joshua Van to win this one by decision. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a knockout as well, but I think Joshua Van's got this one in the bag. And honestly, once he wins this fight, we need to be talking about a title eliminator for this guy. Because what else is there to do in the division, you know? We should get this guy a Moreno if he wins. Maybe get him a Tatsuro Taira type fight. You know, Royval. Maybe if the loser of Royval and Cop, that's who Van should fight next, probably. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. I know that I'm literally the person that rallied all the hatred towards Mario Batista. I'm going to keep it real, bro. Mario Batista is going to win this fight. I think that Patchy Mix is making a big mistake taking this debut on short notice. Mario Batista had a full camp for this fight, right? And yes, the Aldo fight was a robbery, but it was still close. Like, we all think Aldo should have won, but it was still a close fight. Why can't Mario Batista just do the same thing he does? Yeah, the same thing he did to Aldo. Why can't he do it to Patchy Mix? If you watch Patchy Mix's last fight, it was a split decision to Magomedov. It was over a year ago. It was a robbery. Everyone knows that Magomed won that fight. I'm glad that Patchy Mix is finally here in the UFC. I just don't like the fact that he's taken this fight on short notice. He's the replacement for Cheeto. Mario Batista was supposed to fight Cheeto Vera. It might have been on 315. I don't remember. He was supposed to fight Cheeto Vera. I don't remember which card it was supposed to be on, but I just don't like Patchy taking this fight short notice. I think Mario Batista, despite him being boring, he has a good submission ability. You know, he's got the ability to hold someone down. He's on a tear of a win streak as well. There's a reason they gave him Jose Aldo. They were trying to build his name up. Obviously, he built his name up. He built it the wrong way. Yeah, man, both super high-level guys. I think Patchy Mix will have a lot to do in bantamweight in the future, but I just think that taking this on short notice isn't a good thing for Patchy, you know? But I'm gonna be cheering for Patchy Mix, all right? What Mario Batista looks like, he has Benjamin Button's disease. You look fucking 40. You look fucking 40, mate. You know, I think that Mario Batista will get it done, though. Unfortunately. All right, next fight on this card: Kevin Holland versus Vicente Luque. I hate picking Kevin Holland fights because you can watch a Kevin Holland fight, and it just depends if he wants to win or not, bro. Like, if he just goes in there looking for a paycheck, he's going to lose every time. But if he actually tries, then he can win the fight. If he knows his job's on the line, he's going to win. If he knows that he might, like, not get an easy opponent next, he's going to fucking win. But if he knows that it's just, like, the fight doesn't matter, then he's not going to try. Look, Luque is, like, number 14 in the division rankings-wise. Holland was in the division until he lost to Wonder Boy. And the thing about Holland, when he's at middleweight, he's actually not middleweight. When he's at welterweight, when Kevin Holland is at welterweight, he's actually a really decent fighter. You know, he had Wonder Boy hurt at some points in their fight. He beat Michel Olajaychak. I think that was at middleweight actually. But Kevin Holland is a decent fighter at welterweight. At middleweight, he just gets taken down. They're too big for him. But at welterweight, he's the big guy. He has the longest reach in that division when he's at welterweight. And I think with Luque, yeah, he beat Themba Gorimbo. Themba Gorimbo fucking sucks, man. The fucking Rock is going to take Themba Moreno's house. Dwayne Johnson's like, all right, Themba, I need that house back now, buddy. You're not going to be shit in this sport, you know? This fucking guy, Colby Covington was letting Themba Gorimbo live in his house, bro. That tells you how bad he is, bro. But yeah, Luque, besides the Themba fight, he's looked mid, bro. He's looked bad in his fights, bro. Like, you watch the Joaquin Buckley fight with Luque. Gave up in that fight, man. He quit. All right, I hate to say it, but he quit. He fucking quit, man. And then the Jeff Neal fight, he literally had a fucking brain aneurysm in that fight. And he got fucking whooped by Bilal, which that's not a bad loss considering what Bilal went on to do, but I beat it. Your only win being RDA and Themba. Like, I know Kevin Holland is not that good either, but you look at all of his losses, they're all to middleweights, bro. Except for MVP. But he still did good against MVP when he decided to shoot takedowns, bro. That's the thing about Holland, too, is he doesn't have fight IQ. So, man, am I going to pick Luque? But there's a reason Kevin Holland's the favorite. I think Luque's done. You know, I thought Luque was like 38 years old, bro. He's 33. Vicente Luque is 33 years old. He looks washed, and he's in his prime. You know what I mean? Like, he should be the prime of his career right now, but he looks washed. Like, there was a reason people were calling Luque the dark horse back in the day. It was because he was good as fuck, and he was only like 28. So people were like, how good is he going to be when he's 33? He looks mid, bro. So yeah, I'm going to pick Kevin Holland to win this. by decision, maybe split decision. I could see that. Next fight on this card, Kelvin Gastelum versus the most angry human being on the planet, Joe Pyfer. Dude, I don't know what it is with Joe Pyfer, bro, but he's just fucking pissed off all the time, bro. Like, someone like woke him up by pouring water on his face or something, you know what I mean? We look at the trajectory of Kelvin Gastelum's career. Lost to Robert Whittaker, lost to Jared Cannonier, the Chris Curtis fight. I honestly thought that Chris Curtis beat Kelvin, bro. That was on that Alex Pereira card. I thought Chris Curtis got that done. The next fight, you got Sean Brady, bro. That's what Sean Brady does to people. He subs them, bro. But then you look at the D-Rod fight. He missed weight for that fight. This guy is not in shape. He should be a 170 or he's fat. It just makes you wonder how Adesanya ever had such a close fight with him, you know? But yeah, I think that D-Rod should have won that fight as well, even with Gastelum missing weight, you know? So I just haven't been super impressed with Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer on the other hand. Yeah, Marc-Andre Barriou is like dog shit or whatever, right? Besides that, he has knocked out and finished every single person he's fought except for Jack Hermanson. Now look, Jack Hermanson, he's a tricky test for anybody, man. Jack Hermanson can give anyone fucking problems, especially a young, undefeated in the UFC person like Joe Pyfer. But I think that Joe Pyfer is going to knock out Kelvin Gastelum. What can Kelvin Gastelum really do in this fight besides be a victim, you know? Yes, I don't think Gastelum's ever been finished before, but there's a first time for everything. This guy has fucking Mexican lineage. I'm turning off the fucking body cam and I'm about to fucking kill him, you know? But yeah, I think that Joe Pyfer is gonna fucking starch Kelvin Gastelum. It shouldn't be the feature fight, bro. Honestly, I think that the Patchy Mix Batista fight should be the feature fight. I think that this should be a pretty easy night in the office for Joe Pyfer. And not just that. You know, honestly, I'm gonna pick the submission because Sean Brady says that Joe Pyfer has better ground game than him. Yes, I know that's kind of a ridiculous thing to think about because he's a middleweight. Gastelum can get taken down, all right? So I'm going to pick Joe Pyfer by submission, not knock. It's going to be a submission or knockout. It's pick your poison. But he will finish Kelvin Gastelum, mark my words. All right. You guys know how I feel about 5-round WMMA co-main event title fights. Not a big fan of them, especially at women's 135, all right? Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Why is this fight even, like, what the fuck is this shit, bro? Dude, I think it's very obvious who's going to win this fight, all right? Juliana Pena fucking sucks, all right? Because she did not beat Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington dropped her and kicked her fucking ass, bro. Like, I can't believe I'm defending Raquel Pennington. But Raquel Pennington won that fucking fight, all right? That should be the fight. It was Harrison versus Pennington. But obviously, Raquel Pennington doesn't know how to promote a fucking... Like, Raquel Pennington couldn't promote crack to a crackhead, you know? So that's the reason that Juliana Pena got given that decision, all right? She talks shit, but Kayla Harrison is literally a fucking man, all right? She is literally a fucking dude with a wig on. She has got fucking carved delts as a woman, all right? She has traps, okay? There is no question in my mind who will win this fight. Kayla Harrison is going to beat the absolute dog shit out of Juliana Pena for 5 rounds. I don't even think there will be a finish. I think that it will just be kind of similar to the Nunes versus Pena 2. The only reason Juliana Pena even has a name is because she fluked a win over Nunes. It was a fluke. We all know it was a fluke because we watched the rematch where we watched you get whooped, bro. Pena has some of the worst striking as a champion ever, bro. Literally just like, I bet I could beat Juliana Pena in a kickboxing match, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this fucking chin on a silver platter. Imagine overhand right from Kayla Harrison. Yo, bitch, give me my fucking dinner, man. Go get me my fucking dinner. Yeah, that's what's going to happen, bro. Kayla Harrison is going to whoop Juliana Pena's ass. And I'll be happy about it because she needs to be the champion of this division. So, like, I'll say this, bro. The weight cut is kind of concerning. She literally fought at 155 as a woman in the past. She's fighting all the way at 135. So the weight cut is concerning. But if she makes weight, she'll be fine, bro. Because, you know, you see Juliana Pena talking just like, make weight, bitch, make weight. It's like, yeah, because that's the only way you'll ever get out of this fucking fight is if she misses weight. And let's move on to the final fight. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley 2. The rematch that absolutely nobody asked for. Yeah, man, I think Merab's just going to do the same thing he did in the first fight. Now, I will say this. When they fought the first time, it was a lot closer than people thought. Now, I'm not going to be like Guru saying that there's an argument that O'Malley won. There's not, all right? But if O'Malley threw a couple more strikes in one of those rounds, then yeah, there is an argument, but he didn't. What can O'Malley really do in this fight to adjust, all right? Because I don't see, like, his fight with him was almost 8 months ago at this point, right? I don't see O'Malley just, like, making that big of a leap in 8 months skill-wise. Now, you could say that he's, like, you know, he stopped gooning, he stopped smoking crack, he's going to be locked in this week, right? But I don't think that's enough to beat Merab, all right? Merab is at the peak of his career, coming off a win over Umar. He beat O'Malley, he beat Cejudo, he beat Peter Yan, he beat Jose Aldo. He beat Rafian Stotts. He has beaten all these really great names. There's a reason people are calling him the bantamweight GOAT. And I agree. He's just too good for O'Malley, man. Like, he will take O'Malley down in this fight. He will hold him against the cage. I can just see Tim Welch having to give O'Malley like a fucking pep talk in the last round. I think O'Malley will definitely hurt Merab at some point in this fight. I do think that Merab is good enough to recover from whatever O'Malley hits him with. O'Malley's kind of overrated power-wise. Split decision with Yan. He knocked out Aljo. Fair enough. That's a good win. Couldn't finish Cheeto. Couldn't finish Merab. Yeah, man. I think O'Malley, he has a crazy highlight reel, but is that enough to stop the relentless pressure and Nina drama skits from Merab? I don't think so, man. I think that Merab is going to get this one done. I think he'll take O'Malley down. I think he'll hold O'Malley against the cage. I think that he'll feint takedowns and land some shots against O'Malley. O'Malley will then try to counter, or Merab will slip under those counters, take him down again. Now, I'm not saying that Merab should be a minus 325 favorite. I definitely don't agree with that. If it was like minus 170, I think that this fight is a lot closer than the odds makers have it, but I do agree that Merab is going to be the one that gets this one done. Like, I just don't think O'Malley has had enough time to completely change his game. Plus, he hasn't fought anybody in the meantime. Like, if O'Malley came back and fought Peter Yan for 5 rounds to beat him, or fought Umar, or fought Sandhagen, Cejudo before he lost the song, maybe if O'Malley beat one of those guys and then came back, I'd be more inclined to pick him. But he's just waited on his ass this whole time, doing his podcast with the Dimbo Sugar Show, you know? So, yeah, that's my picks for the card. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Once again, man, this card is pretty alright. I like a lot of the fights. Like, I like the Holland fight. I like the Piper fight. I like the Harrison fight. I like all these fights. Well, I don't like the Harrison fight, but I like all these fights. I just wish there was one more good fight. That's my opinion, and take it easy. Peace.